If you're a creator or you want to be a creator and you want to learn ways to share your work, share your creativity, to become a documentarian of your process, not just your product. People are as interested in the story of your product as they are the product. This is a great book on how to get discovered. And for everyone who has liked and commented and shared our podcast, I want to thank you. Please, please, please leave a review. Hope you enjoy it.
What I really needed was to recreate myself, which means to bring something new into the world that has never existed before.
One thing you don't want to aspire to is being kept the world's biggest secret on something you're really good at. This book, Show Your Work by Kleon, is 10 ways to share your creativity and get discovered.
I love that.
So it's a book about not only creating things, whatever art means to you, but it's a book about sharing it and sharing the story of it. Like, think process, not product. And I love that idea, and I'm guilty of not doing a good job at it. Sometimes I think people are interested in how I create whatever I create, and I think I'm wrong.
Wrong in which way?
I think people are interested. I think if you're getting people interested in what you're putting out there, they want to know how you made it.
I had a weird syndrome, imposter syndrome, where it's like when dunking is a good example, but also creating things. Imposter syndrome is when you feel you have the skill, but you act like you don't. And it's because I felt like, since I learned how to do it and I'm not a good person or I'm not good at what I do, anybody can do it. So I'm like, nobody wants to learn this. But then I keep getting questions, how do you do this? I'm like, you can do it. You can figure it out, because I had to figure it out. But I didn't realize how much of my process I could share to help. And
people want to keep their work a secret until it's perfect. And the first thing is it's never going to be perfect. Yeah. And the second thing is, why would you keep it a secret? Like, you have the massive ability to put things out there now because of distribution technology that's free, that 25 years ago you could never create something and put it out on such a large scale. You just couldn't do it. Yeah.
It's amazing now that you can do that. And then the other thing that reminds me of this, I think it was a subtle art of not giving a fuck, was that was that he said, this quick story, I don't know if you remember this one, that he said, this guy never wanted to put his art out there, even though he wanted to be an artist. And he was more afraid of being an artist nobody liked than being an artist nobody heard of. So I think that shows, like, he was more afraid of failing than not even ever showing it.
But there's a lot of good when someone gives you shit. Like, when someone trolls you, that means you hit a nerve. Like, you're actually onto something. And I'll talk about trolls in a second. But the one thing that really jumped off the page at this for me was thinking process, not product. And people want to know the story of art. Like, if you hear about, like, Hemingway, how he wrote at Sloppy Joe's in Key West, and he, where he wrote it was as interesting as the book itself.
Definitely.
And there's, when I did my TED Talk, we did that behind the scenes video of me rehearsing the TED Talk. One thing that didn't make the cut is I ended up hiring Carmine Gallo, who's the author of Talk Like TED. So I flew to Santa Barbara, went to his studio, and I did my TED Talk in front of him, and I couldn't get it under 22 minutes. He says, there's too many things in there. You got to cut. Yeah. I was like, holy shit, I got to cut. And there was one story that I had to cut that I loved.
Was it the banana?
It was the banana story. Yeah. So there was a project called Significant Objects, and I forget who did it, but if you look it up on the web, it's Significant Objects, and it was an experiment on the story is more important than the actual object. So they took insignificant objects that they bought for like 25 cents or $1 at these thrift shops, and then they hired the best storytellers on earth, and they had a contest to write these fascinating stories about the object. And then they put it on eBay with the story, and the object sold for sometimes 2,000 times what they bought it for. But the story about the fake banana, I had it in my pocket, and I was like, is that a banana in your pocket, or are you happy to see me? Right? So I pull it out, right? And it'd be obviously a controversial thing, but I didn't care. Yeah. But I would say, no, this story, the banana is a fake banana. It's a plastic, crappy banana you can get at any thrift shop for for 1 penny.
Yeah.
But they wrote a story on how this banana was the inspiration for the fake banana cartoon series. And they wrote this fantastic story about this guy that just obsessed over this fake banana, and it kept tricking him. And then the fake banana sold for like $300 online. They bought it for 25 cents because of the story. The point is, the process is as interesting and as valuable as the product, but there's a lot of a psychology of sharing your work and sharing the process of your work, because you'll create what's called really true fans. Like, people will start to be impressed with you. They'll start to want to see you improve. They'll start to give you feedback. They're going to troll you too.
Yep.
For sure. But I love that idea.
One of the tricks I've learned to not get trolled so much, because I barely get negative comments on mine, and I think it's because I roast myself so much. So you're harder on yourself than anybody could be. It's like if you fail and you're the first person to point out your failure, what are they going to say? That's the worst thing they can say, but you already did it. So, and then they love you for that.
Yeah, that's one of the keys of public speaking, is self-deprecation.
Yeah.
Like, it's an easy way to disarm the audience. When I was overweight, I used to kind of make a little bit of fun of that, which is fine. And you know what? When someone trolls you, first of all, you're creating polarity, and we see this all with the election. You know? Literally, some people aren't my friend anymore because of who I voted for. And I was like, that's kind of stupid. But when you create polarity, you create emotion. And when you're getting trolled, you hit a nerve. That means some people really like it, and some people really don't. They usually don't hate what you like. They're probably jealous. So there's an element of helping versus hurting.
Yeah.
So if the troll hurts you, right, and it's hard not to be hurt. Like, think of it as someone walked into your living room and took a shit in your floor. Like, it's just sitting there. Like, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
You get rid of them.
Yeah.
You throw throw them out of the house, block them out.
And it's also, what I was going to say, which that example works for as well, is like, why would they do that? Like, you can think into their minds, like, why are they even commenting on your stuff? Like, if you're me, I don't have anything negative to say to somebody. So what would compel me to write something negative? It's something that's bothering me. So something's bothering them.
Oh, yeah. Particularly if you get it in a foreign language. I've gotten trolled by Russians and Arabic. I see some shit in Arabic really scares me sometimes. Like, I can't read it, but it looks angry.
Yeah.
There's like the emojis at the end, though. Oh, that guy doesn't like it. So you just dump them. So that, you don't let them do that. But the idea of sharing your work is to get hearts, not eyeballs. To get people interested in your process. So I've seen videos over the years, when you were younger and you couldn't quite dunk, and then you have a collage of them as you're making progress. But also, there's lots of videos of you not even dunking. You're just kind of working out, getting your weight, building up an injury or something like that. So that's an example of process versus product. And Kevin Kelly writes about if you have 1,000 true fans, you get lifetime fulfillment and financial security. Like, you'll get plenty of vibe out of 1,000, helping 1,000 people. Like, you're one and you help 1,000 people. You've done a nice job in your life.
Wow.
You've done a really good job. So you should always keep a list. This is not in the book, but this is my coaching. You should always have a list that you own. Because I heard a few stories of some of my friends that got zapped on TikTok or whacked on Instagram. And if when you get whacked and you lose your audience, they can't find you. You need to have a way to communicate with them. So you should always have a list, an email list. So you got to give something away to entice them to give you their email, and always build that up. But that's part of that's the big part of this book is that, show your process, and everything else is about like self promotion. People want to keep themselves a secret, so they don't want to self promote. So if you don't self-promote, teach me who's going to promote you, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to get discovered?
Can't. I'm thinking if you don't self-promote, then and that leads me to what I love about this book and reminds me of his other books and other creative books that really inspired me is that to find yourself, you have to express yourself.
Right.
And that hit home with me so hard because a lot of times when you want to express, it's through a video, through a song, music, post, whatever it is, a photo, but you want to wait till it's perfect, but then it's actually the reverse because by sharing it, by doing it, you get closer to perfect. But instead of waiting, you're not learning anything by waiting.
Well, what is the reason documentaries are so intriguing?
Yeah.
It's not about the guy that wrote the Declaration of Independence. It's all the shit he did before it and after it.
Yeah.
And what it meant to him and what he said about it. If you're a documentarian of your own process in life, you're going to attract fans, and it is a form of self-promotion, but it's an awesome, not awful way to build a community. Like I have visitors right now. I have the Credit Brothers from New England that are visiting. I met them on TikTok, and they stayed with me. They flew down here. We're doing some little mini mastermind, but I met them through TikTok, putting myself out there, something I wasn't completely comfortable with, and then we've connected with our ideas and their ideas, and now we're friends and collaborating on business. And we're giving one another feedback from two different audiences, and that's how you get gigs. Yeah, that's how you get deals. Like there's 3 instances I can tell you about right now that because of this. The first one, I'm a professor in an English university right now, teaching digital marketing to students in London, and it's one of the most rewarding parts of my life. I was discovered on TikTok by one of the administration. Invited me to become a teacher. I was on the cover of a magazine. I mean, this is shameless self-promotion. I was pretty proud of it because I just got a copy.
You just said if you don't self-promote, who's going to do it?
Yeah, it's a real magazine. It's not like one that you pay for. So I'm on the cover. Yeah. Like they read my story. They connected with it. It's called Expert Profile Magazine. And then just yesterday, I sent in the Authority Magazine article. Yeah. These are all dots that got connected from me just talking about what happened to me. And not only what happened to me, what I did with it. And then, and how you could do it for yourself, which is the most important part. Because people don't give a shit what I did. They care about how they can apply what I've learned for themselves. That's
what I was going to say about those articles. Is like the only reason why they're interested. Not that they don't care about what you're doing right now. It's because you overcame what you did. Like if you left out the whole beginning and only told them what you're doing right now, they'd be like, why do we care that you're killing it right now?
I'm absolutely average. I see people that are kicking my ass on YouTube that can't string 3 words together. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing wrong. It's like, I was like this. I saw one. I was just because sometimes when I read a book, the first thing I do after the book is I listen to somebody else's review of the book so I can get a new idea or make another connection, reinforce the idea, particularly if I'm going to talk about a book like this. This book is just such an easy read, but it's a book that has one big idea, right? So then, if I were to say, wow, this is my result, and you just put them on paper, I did way better doing what I used to do, right? Financially so far, right? I'm not saying that's always the case, but it's not that. It's the process of becoming happy, becoming self-actualized, and doing things that other people would never think of. Like a lot of people don't quit their job, sell their company, and move to another state and start a new life. It's not easy to do, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of reasons to consider doing that.
And if you documented every part of that, you did document a lot of it, but imagine because that wasn't your story. That's not, it's part of your story now that it's recreated, but if the same way you documented that, you had the overweight pictures, you had you in the medical bed, if you had like you at the luggage at the store or at the airport, that would have been another thing that would have been a big story that you could be like, look, I just uprooted my entire life.
I didn't want anyone taking any pictures of me. In fact, there's only a few pictures of me sick. Yeah, because I was orange. Yeah, I didn't want anyone taking any pictures of me. And somebody showed me 2 pictures they took while I was out. Yeah, and I was like, it was so upsetting for me to see it because I never really looked at myself when I was sick, other than because once you see something really ugly and gruesome, you want to look away. It's like painful to see. Your eyes are like bloodshot. My urine was like almost dark blood. Yeah. And like the whole thing was very painful, and I didn't document that. And when I was big, I didn't want people taking pictures of me either. Right. But if I had, the story would have been more reinforceable. And I wish I did document that because it would have motivated me. Yeah. And every time I see me ugly, fat, and sick, it motivates me to get strong, healthy, and on purpose. Yeah. Funny. So that's being a documentarian of your life is an important thing because people, particularly if you're busted up right now, if you're banged up right now and you are off, you're overweight, you're depressed, suppressed, abused, afflicted, addicted, conflicted. That's a good spot. You should start documenting it and force yourself to look at it, not to make you sad, but to motivate you.
That's what I was going to say, is that it's really hard because right now when you look back, you always want to document. I should have, but in the moment you don't want to because you feel bad about yourself, even like working out or if you're overweight. But not only is it going to be great to look back on when you document, but in the moment you can look at it and be like, this is not what I want to be, like you said,
right.
and then also if you share it, this is a huge part what I've learned through my own social media. When you share a goal, even if no one responds to your goal, you remember that you put it public. They're like, I got to complete this goal because one person might be watching or listening, and you got to,
The yogis are big into that. There's these like moments of meditation worldwide where like millions of people are meditating. You can almost feel the vibe.
Yeah.
The post, I get sucked in, not a lot, as I'm limiting it, it's a digital sunset. If I'm sucked into TikTok particularly, and someone's really sad, and they're just saying, look, they're out there, it's almost a plea for support, or they're giant. There's a big guy, my friend, Tons of Fun. He's lost like 200 pounds now. So I've been teaching him like little algorithms on how to lose weight. He's not even counting calories yet. He's like 700 pounds. He's down to like 500 pounds. He looks amazing.
Wow.
So he's going to lose another 300 pounds. So I sent him my book, and then but I supported him because I remember big heavy guy dancing without a shirt on.
I think I remember that.
He was all over the place,
right.
But he is super awesome. He actually lives in Tampa.
Oh wow!
And so you want to support them, but when they put it out there, there's half of them that put it out there for a pity party. The other half are begging for support and help. Man, I'm in on that. Trolls that make fun of them need to go away.
Yeah.
Just block them out. And then you also got to be aware of, he talks about vampires in this book, like people that just suck the life out of you. One of the most famous vampires on earth was Pablo Picasso. Pablo Picasso. And it said that Picasso, you'd go out with Picasso and he'd have a great time. And he would suck every ounce of energy out of you like a vampire. And you'd go home, drop dead from exhaustion, and he'd go paint for 12 hours.
Oh, my God.
He was like the world's biggest vampire. So if you spend time with someone and you're not energized afterwards, you probably got a vampire on your hands.
Yeah.
You got to at least limit the time.
Yeah.
But that's the process of showing your work. I had a couple other ideas on it. This is talked about pretty heavily by Grant Cardone, although I don't really follow Grant. He lives down the street. But there is no such thing as an overnight success.
Yeah.
There's only a miracle day. Yeah. A series of miracle days, and there's 10,000 hours or 10 years. And someone says, "Well, I want to be something." And even if you have the patience to wait 10 years, you can't put together a 10-year plan. There is no 10-year plan.
Yeah.
There's 10 perfect 1-year plans. And there is no 1-year plan. There's 12 perfect 1-month plans. And there is no 1-month plan. There's 30 perfect 1-day plans. Everything's built on the day. The only unit of time I can get my arms around is the day. And we talked about the bookends. How do you wake up, what you do, how do you go to bed, what you do. The noise in the middle is what it is.
Yeah.
Right? But if you start thoughtful and end deliberately,
yep,
and you plan for the next day, you'll have a successful progress. I think that's pretty cool.
That's it, baby.
The two last ideas. The first one is what he calls chain smokers. And what it means is when you finish something, like we finished different projects.
Yep.
Like my book. And I made this mistake. Like I finished it. I was so happy I finished it. And I just sat around, did nothing for a month. He said, you got to work. You got to start another project immediately. Yeah, because that might suck.
Yeah.
Because 90% of everything you do will suck.
Yeah.
90% of all content is shit.
It's crazy.
Everybody's content. Like I don't know whether or not this hit home. I have a tendency to think this is a decent one, that you can get a couple good ideas out of it if you're banged up and you want to, share your transformation. That's very, very interesting. Want to be a documentarian of your transformation. How cool is that? But never stop, right? Never like go down for air, because it takes a lot more time to build up that momentum. Yeah. Like stopping going to the gym or getting off a diet plan, right?
The momentum.
Yeah. And then he says, you want hearts and followers and people in your community. You don't want just views.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of that. Although I haven't been as I haven't been as shameful as saying "follow me back."
Yeah.
That's like the saddest sack of shit when someone says, "Will you please follow me back?"
Dude, you know me. I didn't even want to ask people to subscribe to my channel because I'm
Right.
like, if they like my content, they will.
Right.
But
Right.
there's a balance because they don't even think to do it. They don't even know to help you.
Yeah, so this is it. Share your work. 10 ways to share your creativity and get discovered. Be a documentarian of your work. Think process, not product. Awesome.